The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
Welcome to the Benjamin Dixon Show. I am your host, Benjamin Dixon. Today is Friday, February 21st, 2020. Thank you so much for joining us. A lot to cover in terms of presidential politics, the new shift, the new thing that's being planted in your head, the thing that they want to grab hold of your whole thinking process so that by the time they actually do it in Milwaukee, you would have come to terms with the fact that they are going to broker a convention. They're putting it out there now so that you're prepared for it, right? They're trying to, they understand front loading the emotional baggage of something traumatic. You front load the emotional baggage so that by the time you get to Milwaukee, you know, you might go out there, you might protest, but you don't have that initial rage, right? You don't have that initial rage that you feel when you realize they had the unmitigated gall to just be out here floating the idea of a brokered convention to steal democracy from us. It's all a game. It is all a game of propaganda. I've been really thinking about this stuff, man. And what is brilliant about what they do is that they have mastered the dark art of propaganda. The media has mastered. And I think in our not naivete, but in our hopefulness for a better society, we often give people the benefit of the doubt. We give them the baseline that they're operating in good faith, right? We act as though, or we firmly believe that when somebody says something, that all they mean by it is the truth. And that's not the case. We have to understand that media manipulation is at the height of their skill set. They're in their final form. And right now, what they're doing, the number one tool that they're doing is they are telling you what they're going to do so that you can come to terms with it now. So that by the time we get to Milwaukee and they actually execute on this brokered convention, you would not have the same rage then as you would have if they did it right now today. Bottom line is if you give people long enough time to adjust, they can adjust to anything. It's when you surprise people that you have some instant reaction. And that's what they're counting on. That's what the media is complicit with. And it's very rare that you hear. We saw that abrupt shift Wednesday night after the debate. Once they realized Bloomberg was not the man, everyone went into plan C. Plan B, like I said yesterday, was Bloomberg. Plan C, contested convention. And it's rare that you actually hear someone get a chance to speak out against that on mainstream media. And here's that rare occasion, Jelani Cobb, a black man, a black professor who's giving the proper context of what happens when you actually engage in a brokered convention. Here he is on MSNBC. Take a listen in.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind about that as well is that this cuts both ways. It doesn't even have to be a brokered convention. When you have disunity at your convention, period, you tend to lose.
Agreed.
This is 1924. This is 1952. The Democrats in 1972. The Republicans in 1976. 1980 with the Democrats again. You really do not want people leaving from a convention with ill will and bad feeling like that. It almost guarantees that you will lose the general election.
Absolutely. And because I know the Democrats have calculated that they are willing to lose this election. They would rather lose power than to be in power with Bernie Sanders. Now, the Democratic establishment is quickly moving to support Elizabeth Warren. And I can tell you this, if Elizabeth Warren has some type of miraculous comeback and she wins the delegate total for some unforeseen reason, then I would support Elizabeth Warren. But I absolutely, under no circumstances, will support anyone that takes this convention through a brokered convention, takes this nomination through a brokered convention, especially when it means taking it away from the plurality of voters. So, if there's a miracle that happens for Warren, cool, so be it. But if there's some shenanigans and machinations that are taking place in the back rooms that she has previously spoken against, right? She's previously spoken out against it. If that happens, I can't support any nominee. I can't. And we won't. And we'll organize against that. I want you to take a listen to this clip of Elizabeth Warren on The Last Word with Lawrence O'Donnell, as you can hear her changing in her posturing and her positioning against Bernie Sanders.
I get real stuff done. I have rock solid values and I get stuff done. I get hard stuff done. I fought for the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, got that thing enacted and set it up over the space of a year. I can work across the aisle when I need to. I've got a big hearing aid bill that I got through while Donald Trump was president, got through on a bipartisan basis. And next year, people are going to be able to buy hearing aids over the counter, save them millions of dollars. I don't want to be president just to yell at people. I want to be president to change things. That's why I'm going there.
I don't want to be president to yell at people. I want to be the president to change things. All right. That's fine. I'm not even going to trip over that so much because it's a campaign. We don't expect Elizabeth Warren to be friendly. Right. I think the same thing that we said about Tulsi Gabbard applies to Elizabeth Warren. They're in this to win. They're not in this to be buddies with Bernie Sanders. So fine. Quite right. Do your thing, Elizabeth Warren. But but we clearly are going to watch the game. The game is now that the establishment has become so desperate that they would rally around Elizabeth Warren. They'll settle for, and that's progress. That's progress, right? They'll settle for the wealth tax that Elizabeth Warren is going to pass. That's going to tax Bloomberg at $3.56 billion a year. Okay, I could deal with that, but not if we do it through a brokered convention. And I want to make sure that friends and political rivals alike understand that we, under no circumstances, will sit by and watch democracy be stolen from us. Not for the protection, not for anything, but most certainly not for the protection of the status quo. I want everyone to be clear of the motivations. This is not for me. This is not for me about Bernie Sanders whatsoever. I don't say this to throw it in anyone's faces. I say this because it's the factual truth. I personally don't. I care about Bernie Sanders to the extent that I care about any human being. The humanity in me loves Bernie Sanders, just like the humanity in me loves any Republican. The only reason I support Bernie Sanders is because he supports the policies that I support. Now, all of that said, this fight against Bloomberg has nothing to do with Bernie Sanders. You can believe whatever you want to believe, but let me tell you something. It's not only a fight against Bloomberg, it's a fight against the Democratic establishment that is showing us their willingness to suspend democracy in order to protect their power. That is the fight. That is why we have to raise the stakes. They are willing to lose power with Bloomberg rather than be in power with Bernie Sanders. And to do that, they have to bend and break their rules. They have to suspend democracy. What they're saying is they're telling everyone participate in this democratic process. But, oh, by the way, once we get to the convention, we could take it away from you if your choice in the democratic process was a threat to our power. That's what they're saying. And what we're saying to them is that we're not going to wait till Milwaukee. We are organizing right now. We're gathering names right now. We are making sure everyone is on the same page. We're spreading it as far as we can. If you play with our democracy and steal our ability to determine our outcomes, then we will destroy your party. Period. End of discussion. Because we know that you're fine being out of power, because that means Bernie Sanders didn't get in power. Bernie Sanders getting in power is more than Bernie Sanders. This is the problem. The reason they come after Bernie Sanders supporters so much, because they know the Bernie Sanders supporters will still remain even after Bernie is gone. And they also know that if anybody ever becomes president based on the support that Bernie Sanders has, based on this group of rabble-rousers, right? This group of outsiders, if any of us get into power, if Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez gets into power, they understand that the entire regime begins to change, because the people that the new president, that Bernie Sanders, or President Bernie Sanders, will engage with will not be the same people that Donald Trump engaged with, that Barack Obama engaged with, the think tanks that they engage with, the organizations that they fraternize with. All of the spoils of power now no longer go to the establishment or the establishment media. And they know that once Bernie Sanders or someone from this flank of the flank of the Democratic Party gets into power, then that instantly relinquishes their power or diminishes their power at a minimum. And so they're trying to protect that. And they're willing to suspend democracy in order to protect that. And they're going to make up every excuse they possibly can. Bernie Sanders yells. Bernie Sanders supporters are mean. Blah, blah, oh my goodness, everything is so rough and they're so this is how I know they would rather lose. Because they know that they need us to fight Donald Trump. They cannot win. They will not. What they're going to win with their boomer memes? Hilarious. Listen to Senator Barbara Boxer as she tries to explain why a brokered convention might just be okay.
And I think your guests are very well versed on what could happen. But I don't think we can really predict it. What we've got in the Democratic primary is two lanes. I call them all progressives. Some are pragmatic, but Bernie really is the ideologue in the race. And I think it's a really big problem for us. So we have to see what happens. I wondered why he stopped attacking millionaires. He used to attack millionaires. Now it turns out he's a multimillionaire. So I guess he still likes himself. But he goes after people. He's very angry.
Oh, he's very angry. Mehdi Hassan, he came up after that and made it clear, like, yeah, we have reasons to be angry. I want people to understand something. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but maybe not so much because there's a lot of people. Our stats have gone up. There's a whole lot of people who are listening to this that never listened before. So I may not be preaching to the choir this time, but I want you to understand something. We are in politics because it's a matter of life and death. We're fighting for Medicare for all because we know personally that we need it. I personally, Benjamin Dixon, need Medicare for all. I grew up most of my life. I have never had insurance coverage, and I only got away with it because I'm relatively healthy. Even if I don't take care of my body, I've still managed to be healthy. My check engine light is getting ready to come on at 40 years old. And I'm like, holy shit, we need Medicare for all. Selfish? Not when you think about there's so many other people who are going bankrupt. There are people who are not as privileged as I am that are sick and they spend thousands of dollars a month. So if what I need actually is helping someone else, that's not selfishness, that's solidarity. And we work together to try to and that's why we're so passionate. That's why we're so angry.
Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show.
And here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, the non-gender conforming individuals, I want to see you dance to the Patron party. So I'm going to be quiet for a couple seconds. Let me see you dance. Here we go. I see you. Be sure to send me a video. I want to see you bopping to the Patron party. Okay, here we go. Very special welcome to Samuel B. Hi. Callum Duff, Reverend Dr. Peter Anomaly. Very special welcome to Beta J. Sharma. Very special welcome to Nicole Brewer. Very special welcome to Tosh. Very special welcome to Kyle, Dave, Coralie, Peter Martin, Willow Katz. Very special welcome to Matt Coles. Very special welcome to Erica Schwab, Aiden Irish. Very special welcome to Lee Bryant, Robert Hughes, Jonathan Lehman, Ron Jones, Morgan Young. Very special welcome and thank you to Adriel for increasing your pledge. I see you, my friend. Thank you to Ren. Very special thank you to Michael, J. Michael Comfort. Very special welcome to Kanye, Kogane. Kogang? I have no idea, but you are so welcome. Very special thank you to Matt LaForge, Aaron Cohen, Ben Grant, Karen Lewing, Bear, Salona. I am horrible at names. Very special welcome to, very special thank you to Darslink for increasing your pledge. Very special welcome to Beth. Very special welcome to Allison Byrne, I guess. Byron? I don't know. Very special welcome to Juan. Very special welcome to Jamie. Very special welcome to Matthew, Micah, Wilhelm Solomon. That's a hell of a name. And they're all easily pronounceable. Very special welcome to Jonathan Brennan. Very special welcome to Linda Edwards. And the list goes on. The patron parties are getting ridiculous. Very special welcome to Joel. Very special welcome to Teresa. Very special welcome to James Doom. Very special welcome to Daniel Youngblood. Anthony. Very special welcome to, I don't know, TSC, CC? Yeah, I don't know. But welcome. Thank you. I appreciate you becoming a patron. Very special welcome to Travis Suda. Brian Coburn, Josh, Sean Daughtry, and I think that's everyone. You too can join this ridiculously increasing patron family by going to www.patreon.com/the BPD show and becoming a patron. And when you become a patron, you get twice the show. There's a whole nother 30 minutes that goes on after the closing music for patrons. And you also get ad-free content. So you won't have to listen to ads like the one that's supposed to play right here. All right, let's continue the conversation. So there is a concerted effort to make sure that you are preemptively prepared, right? They're softening the blow. They're talking about it. That's all they're talking about is the contested convention. And they're trying to get you demoralized and desensitized to that. Demoralized in terms of not being able to fight back, not having the energy to fight back, being depressed in advance, as well as desensitized so that you don't have a reaction that they can't predict or control. And what I'm trying to tell you is the only action that can actually threaten them is to let them know right now that anyone who participates in this, we're not going to wait till November. We're not going to wait till the DNC to organize. We're already organizing. And so we're starting lists, right? We're creating a list of everyone who's either supporting Michael Bloomberg or going to support the idea of a contested convention. And here's why. Why on earth would we sit idly by and allow a billionaire to seize our democracy? And then people in the name of, oh, you're not being nice, you're not being civil, they try to stop us from blocking this seizure of our democracy. No, it does not work like that at all. Never. And the thing is, it's like we have the right we have not only the right, but we have the duty to hold the line at this point. And so for people like, oh, why are you organizing against Democrats? Because Democrats are organizing against us, period. They are organizing against us. They are planning. They are putting their machinations into play long before, like this is a long-term prospect for them to plant the seed and let us become comfortable with it. So that when they actually start playing the games with us, we've adapted to it. So what are we going to do? Very specifically, we are going to organize as many people through email lists, through petitions, through social media, so that we can get upwards of 1 to 2 million people who would let the Democratic Party know that we will shut them down. We will withhold enough percentage to keep them from ever gaining power again, particularly those people who either support Michael Bloomberg or support a brokered convention. We don't have to listen, folks. We don't have to sit idly by while they steal democracy from us. There is no requirement that says that we have to be civil when they are being uncivil towards us. And I don't care how nice and how kind you speak. When you steal democracy from us, you are committing an act of violence against us.
Bloomberg said, when I realized it was bad toward the end, I ended it and it dropped 95%. That is not accurate. In the last 2 years or so, it began to drop dramatically. It dropped 67%, not 95%. But it wasn't because he realized, had an epiphany that it was wrong. It's because of the court rulings. That's what happened.
Right. And Joe Biden said that the Obama administration stopped it. I thought you stopped it. Was Joe Biden correct or not?
Of course he's not. You got in just ahead of me. I was going to say that Vice President Biden was totally wrong,
Lucky I'm not in your courtroom.
That's right. He said that the Obama administration appointed a federal monitor. Totally wrong. I appointed a federal monitor in August of 2013 who didn't take office for 10 months because Mayor Bloomberg insisted on trying to appeal my ruling and getting it overturned.
So simply put, Joe Biden, in your view, took credit for something that judges actually did.
Absolutely.
The irony here is that both Joe Biden as well as Michael Bloomberg have extremely anti-black backgrounds. Their backgrounds in anti-blackness run deep. It's kind of hard to tell the difference between them, but I will give Mayor Bloomberg the edge in that he actually oversaw, right? He actually implemented the policy. Joe Biden just simply advocated fiercely for the 94 crime bill. There's so much anti-blackness that is going on in the Democratic Party right now that it is laughable. Look at 4 of the top 5 candidates, of the top 6 candidates for president, and their level and their record of anti-blackness. Pete Buttigieg fired the police chief, and I believe he fired the fire chief of South Bend, Indiana, right? Black officers that he fired. Now we have a situation where a black man was killed by a white police officer on his watch. And what does Mayor Mayor Pete do? He abdicated his responsibilities to the people of South Bend, the black people. I played the clip for you before where he basically told the black woman, I'm not looking for your vote. And the sister said, well, you ain't going to get it either. Right? Amy Klobuchar, as a prosecutor, as a top cop in her town, in her city, her state, as a top cop, she assisted in the prosecution of a man who looks like he was pretty innocent at this point. And she justifies it because of what was done to the young woman who was killed in the case. She's trying to use one black life to imprison another black life, when the evidence is showing that the black man that's in jail right now for this murder is innocent because someone else has confessed, according to the Minneapolis chapter of Black Lives Matter and the NAACP. Amy Klobuchar is drenched in anti-blackness. Obviously, Joe Biden is drenched in anti-blackness. And of course, Mayor Bloomberg is the chief adjutant of anti-blackness. He's the chief spokesperson. And yet 4 out of the 6 top people running for president in the Democratic Party is drenched in anti-blackness. Drenched in it. I would put Elizabeth Warren first in terms of who's doing the best job. Bernie Sanders does have some, and this is, again, like I told you, folks, you know me, I will bring criticisms wherever they need to go. Bernie Sanders has a complicated problem in terms of being able to speak on black issues. He hasn't been able to effectively speak on it the way the irony of it is he doesn't speak on black issues as good as Joe Biden, when Joe Biden, though, has the record of being anti-black and Bernie Sanders does not. So it's really a communication thing. Elizabeth Warren hired the right people. She has the right people surrounding her in terms of communicating. But 4 out of 6 of the top candidates in this race have a track record of being anti-black. And yet the Democratic Party is so beholden to the black community that if we don't show up, if 60% of black people in this country don't show up to vote, and of those 60%, 90% don't vote for the Democratic Party, the Democratic Party loses. And yet they're putting these anti-black candidates up for us for consideration and using Mayor Bloomberg, in his case, using $500 million to convince people. I think not, sir. I think not.
Please, who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate? You should ask yourself who taught you to hate being what God gave you.
That's the voice of El Hajj Malik El Shabazz, known to most people as Malcolm X, who 55 years ago, February 21st, 1965, he was assassinated in Harlem, New York. He was assassinated, and his legacy has on many occasions attempted to be, people have attempted to erase his legacy, right? Because he spoke with a fierceness that was too much for the establishment. It was too powerful. It was too straightforward. He would call a spade in a way that Dr. King would not This is not to pit him against Dr. King. But his message resonated with a different side of the black community, and not just the black community, mind you. It was also, he also spoke to the material conditions of Americans because of the material conditions of black people. He cut to the core of it, which made him a threat, a unique threat to this power structure. And anyone who is a unique threat to this power structure often finds themselves, especially in the 60s, they would find themselves on the receiving end of a sniper's bullet. And truthfully, Malcolm understood this. He calculated this, and he accepted it. Listen to the fearlessness in his voice.
I tell you, I'm a man who believed that I died 20 years ago, and I live like a man who is dead already. I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything.
I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything. And you often wonder, like, how a person can be so fearless. But let me tell you, there's a clip of Malcolm that I can't find, that I've been looking for years. I heard it years and years. I heard it probably 6 years ago, and I have not been able to find it. It's on YouTube somewhere in one of his speeches, where he talks about the importance of finding your place, finding the knowledge of yourself, but then also how you fit in society, right? And what he's talking about is finding that thing that actualizes you, that thing that drives you, right? That thing that you couldn't stop doing even if you wanted to. Malcolm found that thing, and that thing made him fearless. It wasn't a matter of hyping himself up to go out and do the things that were dangerous. It was an issue of, I can't help but do these things that are dangerous because this is what I'm supposed to do. This is all I know how to do. That's the brilliance of Malcolm and people like him. It's not that they have it's not that they have to take the fear into consideration every single time they get up to speak. It's that they understand, I cannot not speak truth to power, and whatever happens, happens. Like Dr. King, he said, old age has its place. Everybody wants to live a long time, right? Everybody does. But once you have been apprehended, once an idea grabs you, it has you, and you live your life based on that idea, and it drives you. It pushes you. It strips away fear. It strips away hesitation. And this is what Malcolm is talking about in that clip. He said, I have no fear whatsoever of any man or anything. That's because he found who he was and his place in this moment in society, or at that moment in society, at that time. And his words still resonate today. Listen to this.
Democracy is hypocrisy. Right. If democracy means freedom, why aren't our people free? Right. If democracy means justice, why don't we have justice? Right. If democracy means equality, why don't we have equality?
Preach, Malcolm, preach. The fearlessness in that man's voice. What I love about it is that back in the day, I love the transition. We are in a period of democratized leadership and speaking truth to power. It's no longer one individual. It's no longer two individuals. It's not a question of Malcolm versus Martin. And it's no longer male centric, right? We have women who are out here. We have gay leaders who are out here, LGBTQ leaders who are out here speaking truth to power. But most importantly, it's the democratization of leadership in the liberation movement that makes us unstoppable. They can cut down one of us like they did in the 60s. They cut down Martin. They cut down Malcolm. On the white end of the spectrum, they cut down both Kennedys. The only two people who were fighting for a level of freedom and liberation for all people. Every time someone stood up, the government in some form or fashion helped gun them down. The beautiful thing about it today is that we are a virus. You can't stop us. You can take out one leader, you can cancel one leader, you can do whatever you want to. But for everyone you take down, another one steps up. That's why you are so important. That's why I'm important. That's why all of us are important. Because together we are unstoppable. Together. You feel me? All right, patrons, I'll see you in about 15 seconds. Everyone else, thank you so much for listening to the show. I will see you next time. Take care.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com Facebook.com/The BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show. If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.